Welcome to Senior Basketball Analyst. These days are always cool because you don't see a lot of trades where star players move around. So this is a big day. Ty Lawson, anybody following the NBA knows Ty Lawson was traded from the Denver Nuggets to the Houston Rockets for some player named Kostas Papanikolaou. I can't pronounce it, to be honest. Never heard of the guy. Pablo Prigioni, Joey Dorsey, and Nick Johnson, and a lottery protected 2016 pick. And then the Nuggets also sent over a 2017 second round pick to Houston. Both of those picks are garbage, so you can ignore those. The Rockets, it's lottery protected in 2016. They, I guess, just wrote that in there just for laughs. The Rockets are a finals contender. They were a contender last year, so they will obviously be a contender this year because they've improved their roster. So they're not going to be in the lottery. There's no chance of that. The pick is going to be a low first round pick. It's garbage, and especially for a team like Denver. Denver doesn't know what it's doing, so Denver's not going to pick a gem. They're not going to find a Jimmy Butler late in the first round. They're not going to do that. All of these players, Kostas is nobody. Pablo Prigioni, as we saw, is one of the worst players in the league because he's not an NBA player. He has no business wearing an NBA jersey. He barely knows where to be. Aside from the fact that he's athletically limited, he doesn't even know where he's supposed to be. Just loses his man and things like that. No business in the NBA. Joey Dorsey is just a random player, and Nick Johnson is another. Who is that guy? So this is literally Houston trading nothing and getting Ty Lawson. Now, from what we know of Ty Lawson, we know the problems he's had. He just got hit with another DUI, and Ty Lawson has a problem, and he needs to put the alcohol down. He needs to just put it down. One, that's not helping your life and not helping your career. But aside from that, you can't. Drinking and driving is against the law. You got to stop doing it, dude. You just have to. This is something that can land you in jail, so you have to stop doing it. But on the court, Ty Lawson is a top 10 point guard. No mistake about it. He's a top 10 point guard that people that don't follow the NBA just don't know about because he's playing in Colorado in the middle of nowhere, and their franchise isn't very good. So, but just to give you a quick synopsis of Ty Lawson's game, Ty Lawson is limited defensively. He's not a bad defender, especially not by today's standards. Back in the mid-90s, back in the day, he would have been known as a bad defender. But in today's day and age, this is how defense is played. He's a similar he's similar in ability defensively to a Steph Curry. He does move his feet a lot better because he's a lot quicker. At the point of attack, he's pretty good. And that's where I say he actually is a decent defender. Now, he struggles in the post. He can struggle in if you can get into mid-range, you can't shoot over him because he just doesn't have good instincts in those areas. He's athletically as gifted as they come. So I don't think that his height is a problem. It's that he does not have quick hands, things like that. And he is not active with his hand when shooters are trying to pull up. He's not the type of guy that when somebody goes to the move, he's got his hand in the shooting pocket, so you can't even comfortably pull up. He's not that type of defender, but he can move his feet, so he can defend at the point of attack and push defenders wherever we need them to go in terms of our defensive scheme, whether that's pushing them into Dwight Howard, pushing them into the baseline, whatever. Now, offensively, where his strengths lie, offensively, dude can go. Just flat out gets after it. He's one of the most effective offensive point guards in the league. He can score from anywhere. He can shoot out to the parking lot. He can pull up in the mid-range. He can finish at the rim. He can dunk on your head if he has to. Ty Lawson can also distribute the basketball as well as anybody in the league going today. That is a lost art. That's not something that point guards focus on. But Ty Lawson, he will handle, but he can He can get you in the pick and roll. He can throw a lob. He can drive and kick as well. He drives and kicks as well as anybody in the league. So, in fact, you could argue he is the driving kick. He's the best driving kick player in going right now. So offensively, Ty Lawson has the whole package. Now, Denver, I'm not going to really talk much about what Denver did because Denver basically took this as an opportunity to dump their best player because he's having legal problems. And they took this as an opportunity to say, hey, we dump our best player. We don't have to pay him. And that's a plus for us because we're not really concerned about winning anyway, so we don't care. So as a Denver Nuggets fan, if you're going to the arena to watch this team, you're going to the arena to watch a team that gave their best player away. So the only rotation guy on this list is Pablo Prigioni. That was the only rotation guy you got in return. And as I said before, he shouldn't even be in the NBA. So that's what you got in return for your best player. And again, a pick that's garbage. One could argue, if you wanted to argue on the side of the Denver Nuggets for a moment, could argue that, well, you got Emmanuel Mudiay, you don't need him. I already stated on draft night, Emmanuel Mudiay is a prime example of why nobody should go to college. Because if Emmanuel Mudiay had gone to a major college, had gone to a North Carolina like Ty Lawson or Duke or somewhere like that, Emmanuel Mudiay would have been drafted at least 10 spots lower, at least. The only reason that he got drafted so high is because he went to play for Guangdong and, had mediocre statistics. Because as I said again, Yi Jianlian plays for that team and he has Shaquille O'Neal type numbers. So that's clearly not serious professional basketball. And Emmanuel Mudiay had mediocre numbers. He has not done anything in his career that is impressive in terms of what I would look to for a professional. And I'm not saying at all that Emmanuel Mudiay can't play. What I'm saying is we don't know. So acting like he is, since you drafted him, this is not like drafting Jahlil Okafor and you're like, you're going to plant him on the block. And I could put him on the block for the next 10 years. And that is a starting, all-star caliber player in this league. That's not what Emmanuel Mudiay is. He has not shown you any of that in terms of quality. So make no mistake about it. The Nuggets just gave their best player away. They're using the DUI as an excuse, which is fine with me. I don't care. What I do like is what the Rockets are doing. Now, we all know their coaching is problematic. Kevin McHale is not an X's and O's guy. But notably, he did push Jeremy Lin aside, who we now can all admit can't play. Which some of us have been saying since Linsanity that he couldn't play, but we can all now admit Jeremy Lin can't play basketball. He pushed Jeremy Lin aside when Jeremy Lin was the hot commodity for Patrick Beverley. On the other hand, the X's and O's are just limited. They're limited from Kevin McHale. Right now, when I look at this Rockets roster, this is a finals roster. This is a roster that you can say this roster can make the finals. Last year, I thought that too. This year, they're making an even stronger case. Their worst starter is Terrence Jones. Terrence Jones is a marginal player. He's marginal. He can play okay. There's nothing he can. If you put a roll of clown out there, he'll beat him to death. But we saw in the playoffs, we always see the playoffs is always very revealing about who a player is. And we saw Terrence Jones he's just okay. He's just okay. When the defense is really after him, he does not. All those finishes in the paint that he normally makes, all of a sudden become very sometimey. The jump shot, if there's anyone near him, he misses it. He's not a great rebounder. He's not a great defender. He's marginal at both of those things. But he's their worst starter. That's the good news. He's their worst starter. They have Trevor Ariza in the front court. We know what Trevor Ariza is about. We saw that was an upgrade from Chandler Parsons. Chandler Parsons is a pretty good player. Ariza was an upgrade from Chandler Parsons because Ariza is a lock down defender. We all know about, we know about Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard is one of the best big men in the league every year. He's 1, 2, or 3 every year at the center position. Dominant player. He's limited on the block, but in today's day and age, most centers can't check him. They can't even do that, and that's not even the strength of his game. In terms of his defense and the rebounding, the package doesn't really come much better. The only place it can come better from is DeAndre Jordan, who is a max player now, just re-signed with Clippers. James Harden, MVP candidate. To me, he should have been the MVP if you didn't just give it to LeBron again. James Harden showed you what he was about against Golden State Warriors. He took Klay Thompson and just beat him to death. People have been trying to elevate Klay Thompson, say he's 1, 2, or 3 at the shooting guard position. Not true. We've been saying it on this show. Not true. Klay Thompson is a good player. He's a very good player. It's not a thing of where you're against Klay Thompson, but James Harden showed you what it's all about when you take a Hall of Fame caliber guy and say match him up against just a guy that's good, beat him to death. James Harden gives you everything. We know what he gives you. The scoring from anywhere on the court. He can go in the mid-range, put the moves on you. Steve Smith calls him the barber, put you in the barber's chair and cut you to ribbons. He can hit the 3. He finishes in the paint. He's got the best, Dwayne Wade, Rondo step in the league. And then on top of that, he's also a skilled distributor. He can rebound, he can defend, he can do it all. It's just a matter of whether or not he's going to put the whole package together from a game-to-game basis. So this is one of the top 5 players in the league, really. And especially in today's game where the ball is always in the hands of a perimeter player and we're not playing inside out anymore. Then the former starter, again, getting back around to Patrick Beverley. On this show, we love Mr. 94 Feet. He's one of our favorite players. He's also a hometown guy. Patrick Beverley, and this is what I talk about it's not about size. Patrick Beverley may be a couple inches taller than Ty Lawson. Patrick Beverley don't give up points anywhere on the court. It's not about physical size when you talk about, well, why can he shoot over this guy? It's not about physical size. It's about how skilled you are. Patrick Beverley is as good as they come on the defensive end. He's a threes and finishing guy. He's a drive and kick guy. He is not a set the table for the roster guy. He's very, very limited in that regard offensively. And that's what you bring Ty Lawson in for. Now, with Patrick Beverley and Ty Lawson, not only do they have a top 10 point guard on the roster, they also have a starting point guard coming off the bench. This is the best point guard rotation in the league. This is dangerous. It is dangerous for opposing teams. You are not getting any plays off at the point guard position. So when you see Chris Paul, who you're going to have to go through to get to the championship, when you get to an NBA championship, when you see Steph Curry, who you're also going to have to get through to reach an NBA championship, when you see those 2 guys, you now know, okay, I'm bringing the best rotation in the league at the position where their most valuable players are sitting. And that also goes for some of these also ran really good teams in the West, like the Memphis Grizzlies. You got Mike Conley Jr., we got Ty Lawson. We got a player that's just as good, maybe, about as good as a starting point guard. And then we bring it off the bench. When you bring your fake point guards off the bench, like Bino Odri or whoever you're bringing off the bench, we bring in Patrick Beverley. So, and if they're having if Ty Lawson is struggling defensively, they can just scoop Patrick Beverley on in. And I'll tell you something else too. Ty Lawson offensively can play the shooting guard position. So you can hide him at the 2 if you have to, play him with Patrick Beverley. I don't know if Kevin McHale is going to do that. But he has in the past. He has in the past run 2-point guard lineups. He used to do it back when the Rockets had 3, when they had 3 pretty solid point guards because they had Aaron Brooks, Patrick Beverley, and Jeremy Lin. He used to run 2 point guards at the same time sometimes. So we've seen him do it in the past. He may do it again with this roster. this is a good roster for the Rockets, man. I'm excited to see these guys play together. I really am. And what I'm excited to see is that since Kevin McHale does not run good sets offensively, and he relies and leans a lot on James Harden's ability to create something out of nothing, I'm interested to see what this team looks like when they actually have a real point guard setting the table, and what it looks like when James Harden no longer has to create all of his own offense, when he can now catch kickouts, and when he can now, be the weak side option or the short corner option when Ty Lawson's running a pick and roll with Dwight Howard. This opens them up. This opens up options for them that they did not have before. This creates all new dimensions for this team. So I'm extremely excited about it. So Houston Rockets, look out for them. I'm not playing into any of the Denver did the right thing, any of that stuff. Denver only did the right thing if you want to get worse. That's the only place Denver did the right thing. And they made another team in the Western Conference a whole lot better. The top contenders in the West, including San Antonio. Because San Antonio, I think is the favorite in the West. Adding LaMarcus Aldridge and knowing what Greg Popovich can do with marginal talent, adding the best power forward in the league, that's as frightening as it gets in the West. But your core players, and I'm saying core, not best, but Tim Duncan, Emmanuel Ginobili, and Tony Parker are almost out of gas. At the point guard position, what are you going to do when you have to face Ty Lawson and Patrick Beverley? And when Patrick Beverley finds Tony Parker in the parking lot and don't leave his side until it's time to leave the arena, what are they going to do about that? I don't know. So this is scary for everybody in the West right now. Everybody needs to take notice of what happened here. And this is kind of one of those things where, man, you should have offered a better package for Ty Lawson. Everybody knew Ty Lawson was being shopped. Everybody has seen that Vine clip where Ty Lawson is smoking that pipe, and he's just like, man, I'm going to Sacramento. Everybody knew he was on the market. Anybody could have offered a better package than this. Houston literally looked down their roster, took the worst guys on their roster and shipped them off in a terrible first-round pick. Anybody could have the Lakers could have put together a better package than that. Not that they were once I lost, and I know they just drafted their point guard of the future, but any team, you don't have to have any talent on your roster to put together a better package than what Houston put together. So, to me, this would have been a time where you almost do a defensive trade and just try to throw some nonsense into the game, if nothing else, to make Houston actually give up somebody. They didn't give up any rotation players. So, except, as I said before, Pablo Prigioni, who's horrible. So, that's the Ty Lawson trade. Watch Houston games, on NBA TV or on your tablet or wherever you watch games. Make sure you're catching Houston. They're going to be very entertaining, and they're a title contender this year. We have coming up, we have our Scottie Pippen special coming up. We have the top 4 power forwards coming up. So stay tuned to Senior Basketball Analyst. We're going to keep giving you great content over this off season. And man, it's rolling along. I can already see the 2015-2016 regular season on the horizon. So thanks for staying with Senior Basketball Analyst. You know that. Suckers I'm all, they fall and crawl into the pit of purgatory. I go for glory. I'm taking inventory, counting all the